Hello everyone, it's Ryan with Dark Winter Moon in Boston. And happy Pride everyone, I'm super excited about that. And today I'm super excited to announce a project that I have been working on, and I've been posting about it a little on Instagram. But what I've been doing is making sigils, and I'm about to open an Etsy shop where I'm going to be offering those sigils to anyone that wants or needs them. And so, for all of you out there that aren't familiar with what a sigil is, it's basically, I like to think of it as a spell in written form. So, what I will do is, for instance, I took the sigil for, I took and created a sigil for money. And I'll show you the back too, and I'll talk about that a little more in a second. But what you do is you take the word money, for instance, and you take the letters. Usually you take out all of the vowels and all the repeating letters, and you use those letters and you work them together into a symbol that intuitively just feels right. So in this case, pretty simple. The letters M, N, and Y when you take out the vowels. And you can probably see that if you look. There's an M there. There's also an N. There's the Y right there. And I also added these extra lines in because they felt right. And it also kind of makes it look like a bar of gold, which I didn't really intend, but that's how it came out. And then, of course, I used the symbol for money in it too. So sometimes you end up with more symbols in the final sigil than the letters that you started out with. It just depends on your own intuition and if those symbols feel like they're going to lend power to it. So another really cool thing that I wanted to share with you all about this particular sigil is a few moments ago I was kind of playing around with how it looked in the frame and all of that. And as I was putting it into the frame, my palm started itching, and I was like, oh wow, like that is really cool, because one of the traditional ways that money is coming your way is that your palm will suddenly start itching. And I thought it was really funny that I was handling this particular sigil, and my palm started itching. One other thing that I want to point out is that this, on each of my pieces of work, are another sigil. This sigil is actually my signature. And again, because it's a personal sigil, I won't go into how it's made. But yeah, you should see that on all of my pieces of art. So with all of that said, this is one of the first sigils that I ever created. And what I've done is I have drawn it out and put it on this piece of paper as a final one. And this is the object that I'm going to be selling on Etsy. And if you look at the back, this is the back of this, which also is kind of a golden lined pattern. And I chose this paper in particular because it reminds me of the wallpaper in my dad's office when he had his own business. So it felt very appropriate to use that for this. This is also a really cool paper. It's handmade. And I ordered a book of the different swatches of this handmade paper on Amazon. I'll link that information in the bottom of this on the YouTube video. But with all of that said, I kind of wanted to go through today the different sigils I've created and show you some of the ideas I've had. So let's see. I made one for health. And also, if you see the back of that, that's also on this handmade paper. And one for serenity. Now serenity is on this paper as well. Handmade paper. Now this next one, the one for strength, whoops, is on a glossy paper, as you can see. This one in particular, the back wasn't very interesting. So I added another piece of paper to the back of this. If you can see it in the light, yeah, there it is. So both of these papers have a kind of a metallic sheen, and that makes them kind of glare in the light. And then you've got the sigil for strength. So something I want to point out too is because of the way the camera is recording, these are backwards. So in real life, they'll be faced the other way. And then this one is the sigil for authentic self. And you can really kind of see the texture of this paper as well. It's also, this is the actual back of the paper. And this one is a sigil that I created for abundance. That one's kind of glaring and bright as well. You can kind of get an idea of what it is. And this one also, the back of it wasn't very interesting, so I added this shiny sort of paper to the other side of that. This one's the sigil for happiness. And funny story behind this one, like it's smaller than the rest of them. And for some reason, when I drew it out the first time, I drew it way over to the right of the paper. And so I had to cut it down to make it centered in the paper. That's also on that really pretty purple paper. But most of my sigils, with a few exceptions, are going to be 6x6. This one's for nourishment. Also, that glare is kind of killing me on some of these pages. There's the back of that one. Again, a piece of paper that didn't have a very interesting back, so I added that. And then we have reciprocity, also on this lovely paper, which is the handmade version. And this one is one of my favorites for a couple of reasons. So this one is a custom sigil that I made for a friend. And this is actually a combination of a personal sigil that I made for them and 3 other sigils. So it took me forever to get this to come out right. And that one I also backed with a lovely golden paper. But to kind of preserve the privacy and integrity of this sigil, I'm not really going to go into all the different parts of it. Perhaps I'll do another video soon where I'm really going in deep about sigils. And how I do what I would call a bind sigil, which I take from the idea from the Norse Futhark of bind runes. So with all that said, a few interesting things as well about sigils that I've experienced in doing them is, as far as the magic goes, it really is a process that I have to write the sigil over and over and over again. And when I start with the first iteration of taking those letters and writing them out, it looks like a hot mess. But as I work with them and switch them around and give my brain time to kind of work on it subconsciously, then it'll start to form and coalesce into something. And then when you get that final sigil, you just know it's right. You just intuitively know that it's the right, that the sigil's finished and it's complete. Something else that goes into this is the intuition involved in choosing the colors and the papers and all of that. I have long since learned not to question that. They just come out the way they do, and they fit. They seemingly fit the sigil when they do. Cool. So one other thing I wanted to show you is something else I found that enhances the beauty of these sigils and helps protect them. So let me show you that. So here we have one more sigil. This is the sigil I created for wealth. And I put it in these lovely acrylic frame, this lovely acrylic frame that I found on Amazon. And you can kind of see the back of it. It's also on the handmade paper. And these are really great because not only do they protect the sigil, but they're kind of a talking piece for it. And the way sigils work, the more that you use them, focus on them, have people talk about them, the more power they have. So there you are. See the back of that? So yeah, so I offer an option on Etsy where you can get the frame with the sigil, which I think is a beautiful, nice touch. So there you are. Now, also to take a bit of a step back, I initially conceived of the idea to start creating sigils around this idea, this feeling that I had that I wanted to do something to protect queer people, to offer queer people not only a way that they could protect themselves, but some way that they could identify themselves magically, or something, a symbol that they could identify with. So I created several sigils, and I'm going to continue to create them for queer pride and protection. So this one in particular, it's kind of hard to see because of, there we are, because of the light, but this one is a sigil of queer pride and protection. And just like with the money, there's some extra pieces to this one. I added an all geese rune right here, which is protection. It's basically a protection rune. And so also I added the arrow here, which isn't technically a rune, though it can have that double meaning. In this case, it's the arrow of Apollo, asking for his protection. So this particular sigil of queer protection is for the community, for the queer community, and for protection for all. And just by virtue of creating this symbol, even if you don't possess it, if you identify as queer, then there's a little bit of extra protection going out into the magical world for you. So there's that one. Now this one is the sigil for lesbian pride and protection. And this one was a little different as far as me making it. I really love the paper in this color, but it's incredibly glossy and shiny, and it didn't hold the normal pen that normal type of pens I use to make these. So I had to be a little extra creative to get this one to come out right. And I also put it on a piece of kind of silver glossy paper, or put a piece of silver glossy paper on the back of that one. This next one is for gay pride and protection. And I put it on this lovely paper here. And then finally, at least for now, bisexual pride and protection. And put that on this lovely piece of paper. So I'm currently working on a sigil for trans pride and protection. And I plan to go through as many iterations as not only I know, but I can continue to educate myself on around queer sexuality and identity. So yeah, I'm super excited to be launching this. I'm super excited to be able to provide this as a magical service to people that want and need it. And I would love for you all to check out my Etsy. It should be live right now. And as always, please, please, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you can be notified when I post a new video. And again, happy Pride, everyone, and blessed be.